This week in post, another unscripted start to finish live edit. Hey everyone, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to In Post. Thanks for joining me today. If this is the first time you've watched a live edit, you're probably very new to the channel. I did one a couple of weeks ago and they're fun, so I'm going to do another one. What we do here is I'm going to take a photo I have not done any work on and move it through my process start to finish, and we'll see what comes out on the other side. Along the way, I'll verbalize what I'm thinking, and so there may be mistakes, there may be wrong turns. We may end up with a so-so photo. We're just going to see how this goes. So I'm going to work on this photo of the Coronado Bridge. This is like my B shot from the outing I shared earlier in the week on In the Field. And quick image assessment. I like where I've got my framing is good. Nice cut line through here with the bit of waves. Generous term for waves here on the harbor. There's space for the bridge on this side. Looking at the left border, it's a little messy. There's some things down in here. And so I'm going to grab the crop tool, the R key. I'm just going to start tugging in on this, this right edge. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off that part of it. It's there's no real clean spot on the bridge. There's always going to be some things there. So there's going to be something that kind of captures the eye there. But this seems to be a decent enough balance. If I had just one of those previous lines there, that kind of sticks out as by itself. This I'm going to be okay with. So let's take that as a crop, and while I'm here, really check the horizon, the edge of the harbor. That looks pretty good. I don't think there's going to be much rotation there at all. That's even probably too much. I think my line was bad on that one. Let's go the other way on the water's edge. Like that. Better. Okay, we'll take that and we'll do some spot removal next. So the Q key, I'm going to use A to toggle on and off visualize spots. And as much as I love mirrorless cameras, this was the maiden voyage of the A7R, and it already has spots on the sensor. You change a lens and that sensor is just there for all to see. But thankfully there's only 2 spots there, so that's good. Now we go to basic. White balance I'm going to leave alone. Actually, let me try daylight really quickly. That's a little dingier. Actually, I'm going to stick with as it was. Exposure looks good. Let's bring up the whites a little bit. And I'll hold down the Option key so we can start to see. Those street lamps are already the spectral highlights. Those are going to be blown out no matter what. There's not much we can do about that. Lower the shadows down until we start to see some clipping, and then we'll back it off. All right. Highlights I'll leave alone for the moment. Let's move on to contrast, kind of stretch that histogram out a little bit. And I'm going to revisit, I was adjusting shadows. I wasn't adjusting blacks. That was why I was taking so long to clip. There we go. See, mistake number 1. That's what happens in the live edits, and that's all right. Now I'll open up those shadows to get a kind of a pretty basic, relatively flat looking photo right now. Let's increase contrast there a little bit. I've already want to open up the foreground more, so I'll just grab a gradient. We'll drop that on there. I don't need it to be sharp, but I do need it to be opened a little bit more. Exposure, and then maybe even the shadows slider to see about that, just to raise that up some. All right, cool. Back to basics. Let's take a look at vibrance. And even some saturation there. That saturation is too much. Those oranges will get very hot very quickly. So I don't want the bridge to become this day glow orange, but I do want it to have some of that afternoon glow that was there. That's pretty cool. Foreground is still feeling a little, I don't know, underexposed, certainly underappreciated. Let's do a little work with the blues. Maybe deepen them a little bit. That's kind of more for the sky. What do we have here? We consider these greens and aquas. No, those are in the blues as well. We do have some. That's the oranges from the reflections of the bridge. All right, we're going to, what are we going to do here? I need to brighten up this foam. This foam has a blue cast to it. It shouldn't be blue. It should be white. Now, I have this mask here already, right? This gradient. We could look at warming up the temperature a little bit, and that's going to help some, but I can't ride that too hard. Otherwise, see what happens. I'll lose the blues in the ocean. So I can nudge that a little bit. I can also raise up the highlights. That's going to help with the surf. Let's do a quick before and after on that gradient. Before and after. A lot better. I actually want to take down those shadows a little bit now. This is kind of the games we play, right? We'll make an adjustment, see what it looks like, go revisit it, and so on and so forth. I still want more surf action there. I want those whites to come out in that surf. Adjustment brush, and let's see, let's pre-stage things here. We'll kind of do just a touch on exposure, a touch on highlights, and that's going to be kind of really almost a tailored dodge. I'm going to turn on the auto mask though, so that as I brush through, I'm going to make a point to keep my brush on the white parts of the surf. So I go through here. And if I do a decent enough job here, there'll be some overlap, and that's okay. But that will allow me potentially to play with that temperature slider as well. So just kind of working my way through here. I'm not being painstaking on what bits of foam I grab. That's more letting the auto mask kind of do its thing. Now let's see about raising that. I'm going to push it really far so we can see what's going on, right? And that'll allow me to see, all right, where else might I want to add in a few more brush strokes? Cool. I can back that warmth off a little bit. Somewhere in there. Let's do another before and after on that. Before and after. And that's warming it up kind of nicely. I think I want to do a second brush, and it's really that warming thing that I want to do again. So let's zero out all of our sliders. A little bit more warmth. And just on this darker section, oops, I have the auto mask turned on now. I don't want the auto mask turned on. Undo that and redo it. And just on that darker section in the middle wave there, just to add a little bit of warmth through that. That is a very subtle touch. Wow. But I'm going to take it. I like it. Now, where I am at this point, I'm going, well, I want that bridge to jump out a little bit more. And so since this photo is mostly finished, let's see if I can just do that with one more brush with the clarity slider. And let's, how do I want to accomplish this? I think the easier approach, as I think about this, is going to be using a gradient and then masking away. So I'm going to take the gradient and just kind of drag it down here. We'll keep it pretty tight because we're going to be brushing things away. So all right, we got the gradient roughly done. Turn on the showing of the selected mask. We want a lot of clarity, right? So I'm going to pop clarity up, and then we'll grab the brush that's inside of the gradient. First, we want to paint in. I want auto mask on for this. I want to paint in on the bases of these support pylons so that those are also getting the effect of the clarity. So there, here, and right over here. One more time on that side, and then this one here. Okay. And then we'll use the eraser also with the auto mask. We can hit the flow all the way up to 100, and I can use a really, really big brush on this. And the main reason I'm doing it this way is because it's going to be a lot easier to brush away these solid blue sky parts than it's going to be to kind of intricately go through all of the struts and curves and so forth of the bridge. So I'm just going to let the tool do a little more work for me, and I don't have to. And there'll be a couple of cleanups that we'll need to do as Lightroom is struggling to keep up with me. But it's doing a pretty admirable job. This is a 40 megapixel photo, and I'll give you a little bit of latitude, Lightroom. All right, let's do that. Let's go back to my A brush and kind of fill that part back in. One more time. All right, turn off the mask overlay. And let's see what that's looking like now before and after. Now, of course, I'm toggling off the entire set of gradients, but I'm really watching the bridge before and after. That's nice. Let's even add a little more sharpness and a little more contrast. And since we already got our painting done, that means the bridge is the only thing that's going to get a little bit of pop. One other thing I'd like to do is this part of the photo is a little darker, exposure wise. This area is darker, this like upper triangle. One more gradient, and whoops, one new gradient. We're gonna take exposure, maybe nudge it up by 14, just stage that brush, drag that in from the corner, maybe position that, and then let's take a look here. Now we do a little bit of playing here. We'll open that up just a little bit. That's just to kind of even things out. So before all of our gradients and after, the foreground's opened up, the bridge is crisper, and I think maybe the last little step that I want to do is tone down the orange just a little bit. So in the saturation area, I'm going to take that orange and just nudge it down ever so slightly so that these pylons here aren't super hot with that sunlight. And all in all, I think I am going to end up keeping this little whatever it was on the beach that day. It's not really bugging me too much. Last thought is the brushing that we had through the surf. So this thing here, I'm going to pop up clarity and where's the sharpness slider? There it is. Just to bring a little more attention to those little swirls in the surf. And I think I'm going to finish with that. I don't think I'm going to add a vignette to this one. I don't think it needs it. It's not like I'm really trying to draw your eye right down into the center to one area of the frame or the other. So that is our final image. Let's take a look at before, \key, and then after. So yeah, certainly an improvement. And, is it my best photo ever? No, not really, but it's pretty pleasing, and I can see this being useful to local businesses here in San Diego or someone else who just wants a different angle on the bridge. That does it for this week in post. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, let me know somehow. Comments on the video are always appreciated, as are social shares. If you liked what you saw and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Happy shooting.